Good evening. This is Ryan Easton. Welcome to RSG Podcast. This is episode 13. With me, as always, is Roby Watson.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey. And Mr. Nathan Connor.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was knocking shit around. I apologize.
Do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
Life happens. Decent show tonight. We got some hands-on with Gnomes vs. Goblins, Hearthstone. I got a little bit of Warlords of Draenor. I saw a movie called Pyramid, which will be awesome. It's
I love how you used the word awesome there.
Yeah, well, it's a special kind of good. So,
All right.
You mean
A
bad?
special kind.
uh,
Is that like the special kids on the special bus on the way to school?
no, no, I don't. I think it's gonna have to get dropped off. It can't be on a bus.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
It can't be trusted to ride the bus.
that's right. Behavioral issues. And we're going to be talking about Dragon Age Inquisition. We've had a lot of hands-on. At least I know me. I've had a lot. Connor, you've had a little bit.
Very little.
Right? Yeah.
Very little.
You have it on the PS4 too, right?
I do.
And I have it on the Xbox One. I'm interested to see, I don't know, just kind of how the graphics and stuff handle on that machine. But so, what do you guys want to start off with today?
I'll start off with some GVG real quick.
Okay.
Just that it released. It is the new Goblins vs. Gnomes is the new expansion pack released by Blizzard for Hearthstone, and it's actually really fun. It's a really great expansion. It's completely flipping the meta on its head.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's just a good time to get in.
Still hurts my soul a little bit when you say it that way.
You know what? I agree with you. I hate saying it that way, but it is what it's become. So, really not the meta, but whatever, guys.
Yep. Oh well. What can you do?
Yeah, but yeah, definitely check it out. It's a really fun expansion. It takes the idea of RNG to interesting places within the game. So.
Really?
I'm a big fan. Yeah. They've added a few new mechanics to certain cards, like a number of cards that hurt you or hurt your opponent when they get drawn. Putting cards back into your deck, that's a new mechanic that hasn't really been seen before. Of course, tons of RNG like you would expect of a Goblins versus Gnomes. Explosions hitting all over the place. So pretty cool. Just wanted to make a quick mention to check it out, and yeah, that's about it.
You know what Hearthstone really needs?
Uh,
First strike.
you know what? That might come at some point.
I'm actually surprised they don't have that already, to be honest.
Well, I think the reason why it doesn't have first strike is because in the current game, once they introduce first strike, they have to introduce something to counter it. It would be very overpowered, especially in arena and stuff like that. So they have to
It's called having more toughness than that guy has attack.
right, and that'll make priests unstoppable. It'll make them completely unstoppable, because right now that's the priest specialty, is all their minions have more toughness than they have health, or more health than they have attack. So
It won't make you unstoppable. You just won't be weak against first strike like everyone else would be.
right. So you're either gonna run a bunch of first strike decks, or you're gonna be a priest, and that's it. It'll I don't know. It'll narrow it down a bit too much. I think if they introduce it, they have to introduce it with something else.
Well, yeah, but it has to be something directly anti-first strike. But
Well, a way to deal with it. Not necessarily anti-first strike, but another mechanic that can.
But the whole game it's based around having creatures that are either hard to deal with, or dealing with creatures that are hard to deal with. That's what pretty much everyone's decks are based around anyway. I mean, they're not going to be immune to removal.
They're not going to be immune to removal, but a lot of classes don't have a ton of removal options. They rely on trading to get the job done. And if you can't trade effectively, You know, and then there's creatures like shamans might even be too powerful with things like first strike, because you can give some of your minions Wind Fury, and all of a sudden you're getting 2-for-1s off of a 5/1. You know,
Right.
it's
Well, don't give it to minions that are 5/1. You know what I mean? I mean, admittedly, they can make it that way, but I don't know. I don't think it would be as unbalanced as you think it is, but
I
I
think
mean,
it would.
would other people
I
have to
think it would be.
like adjust how they play? Yeah, they would. But and would it change the value of some cards in comparison to them? Sure, absolutely.
I think what'll end up doing is it'll end up. The real problem isn't so much that the game's going to be that particular mechanic is going to be super overpowered as much as it is. It's going to really begin to favor like a few classes, and it's going to really outstrip a lot of others. And that's the problem. And it's not so much. And here's the problem: you cannot give it to something that's 5/1, but you can make it 5/1.
The game's
there's plenty of ways
already that way, though.
It's really not. Everything's viable right now. Like you can.
Everything would still be viable, depending on how many first strike creatures they were and where they were at. Anyway, moral of the story is it won't happen. So carry on.
Moral of the story is it's not going to happen because I don't think it would work that well.
I'm not talking about like introducing 45 new creatures that all have first strike. You know what I mean?
No, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, you're still gonna have only maybe 4 of them in your deck to begin with.
Well, it just depends on how many they make. It just depends on a lot of stuff. But
right.
I think it could be a very dangerous mechanic to make, because other classes can capitalize on it far more, than other ones. I don't know. We'd have to see. It could be really good, and it could be what some classes need to be more competitive. Right now, like Warrior is really
right
strong.
now everybody's viable. You just said so.
Mm-hmm. No, everyone is viable. You can take any class to a tournament, and it could potentially win. The problem is that the developing meta right now isn't really set, obviously, because this was just released fairly recently, like within the last couple weeks. So there's still a lot of developing meta going on, and because of that, it's hard to tell where everything is going to land. And Control might still rule the day, in a first strike world.
In the end, Control always rules the day in these kind of games.
Yeah.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, like right now, Control Warrior is ridiculous. Mages are ridiculous. They're very, very difficult to beat on the ladder. But then again, like I said, it's very early, so it's hard to tell where everything is going to end up. There's some interesting mechanics where you have creatures that are high attack, high health, but have like a 50% chance to not hit the target you want them to hit. And that kind of balances it out. There's entire decks I've seen played where there's one particular creature that gives every minion on the board the 50% chance to miss. And that alone makes a huge difference. That's actually it's actually a really good card. Because it's only directly weak to like pure removal. Otherwise, it just screws with your entire board. But anyway, check it out. If you haven't played yet, it's free to play, so there's no reason not to. Yeah, and you'll get a free pack, so that's cool.
Except that there's no first strike.
Yeah, Wind Fury is kind of like first strike.
No, it's not at all like first strike.
Actually, you know what's like first strike?
Double strike, but it's not at all like first strike.
You know what's like first strike is Divine Shield. That's more like first strike.
Yeah, kind of.
You get 1 turn first strike.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Warlords of Draenor lately. Got the expansion. Been getting into that a little bit. I don't know. I got mixed feelings on the whole subject. Like it's interesting to be back, and I like the questing. It's all much more story driven. Like you feel much more involved in what's going on in the zone. And that's a good thing. But they're just forcing everyone down even more into the little pigeonholes. Like you're this warrior and this is all that you do, or whatever. So.
See, I feel like this is the way. Like from what I've seen of the questing, because admittedly I have not played it. I've watched a lot of videos on it. it's very much the way I've always wanted the questing to be in this game. Um, and and I was praising it and praising it and praising the questing because it looked fantastic. But I realized something. It has basically taken them the better part of 10 years to get this right.
Oh, they actually got it right.
The questing part, yeah.
Okay.
I suppose, yeah.
Like,
Now, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say, WoW's always been about this game. It's never been about you as a player. It's always been about all these crazy, epic characters that going on around you, and all these things that you're taking a part in, but you're taking a part in as 1 of 40 or 1 of 25 or 1 of 10. And so you kind of like lose the sense of being a real hero, which is fine. I prefer my games that way, honestly. But if you're going to do that, like, show some actual interaction between the characters and not just text in a box.
Right.
Yeah. I will say that the cinematics for this one are top notch.
Are they really?
And yeah, I should just go to the YouTubes and just watch the video of the cinematics. They're pretty great.
Yeah.
They're like Wrathgate quality cinematics, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
As
but
far they look better.
Yeah,
but as far as like that story and that feeling of like being involved in the moment or whatever, I think are pretty good.
So they definitely bring the feels.
Yeah, they bring the feels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The new the new Alliance character that they've created for Warlords, which is
Ural.
She is a Draenei, and she's a paladin, and she's training to be an Exarch or whatever. She's badass. She has amazing character development. It's really, really good.
I think I saw some of the cinematics.
It is very solid.
Yeah.
The fight with her and Durotan versus Blackhand on the ship is pretty fantastic.
Okay. They brought that hand back.
Yeah, they do. Well, they bring all the warlords back.
All the warlords are back, yeah.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that Blackhand was a warlord.
Yeah. But Ural, like, that scene particularly like solidifies Ural as a just a badass.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
And they bring back all my old buddies from the oh god, what was that battleground? Alterac Valley, yes.
Oh.
Like Goose is back, Mulvaric's back, like all those people are all back.
That's
Drexar's
awesome.
back. They're all like you on the Horde side. You joined the Frost Wolves, and they give you a garrison area and stuff like that, and you're part of them. You're helping to lead them fight back against the Iron Horde.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is it done by like scenario? Is that how that's all like this whole?
No, that's how it plays out. It doesn't quest like in the world or whatever. Like you're talking to the Frost Wolves and like go here and help these Frost Wolves out. Go here and help these Frost Wolves out, and then like each of these zones culminates in an event of some sort.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like there's they invade your garrison every once in a while too, and you have to like fight people off at your garrison. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of good things about it. I miss some of the things from the old days, but it's got a lot of good things about it as well. The follower minigame is a lot of fun, I think, because you get followers in your garrison, and you can send them out on missions. Okay. And they level up as they do missions, and they bring you back stuff. Gold. A lot of the missions are just for extra XP for them. They can bring you back like blue items that you can open up. That's sort of like the loot aisle items that you open up for a blue item for your spec.
Yeah.
They can bring you back resources for your garrison, XP boosts for you as a player, all kinds of different stuff they can go on missions and do. And every follower there are 3 levels of followers: common, rare, and epic followers. Your common follower is going to have 1 ability and 1 trait. Okay? And each of the abilities are based off of an ability of whatever class they are. Like one of the ones you get early on the Horde side is Olin Umberhide. He is a Tauren warrior.
Okay.
And he's got Taunt. Is his ability, I believe. So he counters like deadly minions. So he's a tank. He tanks the big guys, and that allows the mission to succeed.
Nice.
Okay, so everybody's got like a certain ability like that. Like some of your rogues have kick, so they can interrupt spellcasting. So you send them on a mission to fight a big spellcaster because they can kill those guys more effectively. You
So
can send them on whatever mission you want, but they've all got certain skills that make them better at certain things.
There was a video I saw that was pretty funny. It's on YouTube, and it had a guy coming back from to his barracks from being out and questing and stuff, and he comes back and he's like, "All right, so whatever your name is, you got back from your mission. How'd it go?" He's like, yeah, I failed."
what?
He's like, "You failed?" He's like, "Didn't you have like a 98% chance to succeed?" He's like, yeah, I did." He's like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Well, when I swung at him with my axe, I missed." And he goes, "Well, what happens when you swung at him again?" He's like, "I don't understand the question."
Yeah,
It was pretty funny. I liked it a lot.
it's pretty great.
Now I kind of want to play it. I was told myself I'm not gonna re-up, but I'm gonna end up re-upping.
It's sort of like a slot machine. When you go back to see if your mission's won or not, you're like, all right, let's see. He had a 70% chance. Did he make it? Yes. Cool. Cool.
Well, you
Did he
went
make
for
it?
luck.
No. Fail. Son of a I hate you.
I'm not that good at slot machines.
Yep. You
Yeah.
can get some of your followers as pets.
Interesting.
Like your followers are just hanging around in your garrison too. You can like walk out into your garrison and talk to some of them because they're just chillaxing at the garrison when they're not on missions and stuff, which is interesting. You can get some of them to be your followers, and they have one whose name is Bluke, and he is I don't know what he is, some sort of giant beast of some sort. He like literally dwarfs the Taurens. It's ridiculous.
Jeez.
He's huge, and every once in a while I'll get him to follow me around just so I can be like that guy who has that huge pet that's in the way of everything.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know what I think is funny is that they decided to bring Goose and Mulveric back into a not flying expansion.
That is ironic.
Yeah.
They came from being able to fly in a not flying expansion to now not being able to fly in a not flying expansion.
I still can't get over the whole not flying expansion. I mean, every expansion has had flying in it, and now they just took it.
I honestly don't miss it that much.
A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying it's not a problem. Like they kind of miss it, and some people thought it was going to break the game for them. Like that was going to be it. But a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't even care.
I have to be a little bit more careful now about just randomly jumping off of hills to see like how far around I might have to go get back to where I want to be. But other than that, I honestly don't miss it.
I just all the time and effort I spent into getting those pixels.
You can still have those pixels; they just can't fly.
Yeah. Have you seen any cloud serpents?
Yep. All the time.
What do they look like when they're on the ground?
Like very large, uncumbersome snakes.
They literally crawl across the ground like snakes.
No, they float a little bit,
Okay.
but
Well, there's other cool mounts to get too, like a Gron mount.
yeah, there's a Gron mount to get. There's the Lava Hound mount to get, or Core Hound mount, something like that.
Yeah.
Looks like the Core Hound.
Nice. Running around on fucking Gron.
Right.
That'd be kind of cool.
I ride my old school Talbucks around all the time. That's right,
Old
bitch. Burning Crusade Talbucks, motherfucker. The real Talbucks. Not this fakey Talbuck bullshit we got here now.
Fakey Talbot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have you guys been to Draenor? Is the whole thing set on Draenor?
Everything's on Draenor. You open up, the beginning is actually very interesting. Because like when you log back in now, the very first thing you're going to get is a huge pop-up screen that says, yo, you need to go to Warlords of Draenor right now. Start this quest.
Okay.
And so you start the quest, and basically they take you to Khadgar, and you teleport to the Blasted Lands, and you go through the Dark Portal, because that's what we do in WoW, is we go through the Dark Portal to get to everywhere we got to go.
I want them to make a light portal.
Right? So you go through the Dark Portal, because Khadgar and them are all like, we're going to fight back. He's going to lead a force through to fight back against the Iron Horde. And you roll through the Dark Portal, and there's like a ginormous army with a whole bunch of cannons and artillery and shit pointed at you the minute you walk in the door, and everyone's like,
oh no.
shit. Shit, never mind. We're not fighting the Iron Horde right now. We got to get the fuck out. And
The
so
that's
the
actually
whole
a really
like
cool cutscene.
first zone is just you like, and it feels harried the whole time. You feel like we got to move on. We got to move on. We got to move on. We got to move on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you got a bunch of like a series of like relatively quick quests to do to like move on, and you're all time like re-reporting to Khadgar and moving on. You're collecting other people. You save Yril, you save Drekthar, you save Exarch
Duratan.
Maladun, you save all these other kinds of people. You save Duratan, and you like end up at the end like getting on a boat and going to the Frostwolf place after you've escaped from the current Iron Horde.
Somebody had likened this expansion also to like a faux. It's like it's a faux version of George R.R. Martin's version of WoW.
Interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of fuckers die. A lot of people
Yes.
just die.
A lot of characters that you like are playing with die along the way.
And you know what? That sucks, but it's cool at the same time.
Yeah.
Well,
Dude,
it's
spoiler
cool.
alert. Gunnar dies.
Who?
Gunnar is Duratan's brother.
Thrall's uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And dude is an angry motherfucker. He's my kind of orc.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, fuck planning. I'm just gonna grab 20 dudes and we're gonna go in there and do whatever. We're just gonna kill everything we see.
We're gonna do what we do.
We do what we do. We're just gonna go in there and kill everything that we see. Because you start off on the horde side. You start off taking back Bladespire Hole from the ogres.
Interesting. Okay.
And so Gunnar's just like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Cool. We're riding.
Do it.
We're gone. Duratan's like, no, we got a plan. We're gonna plan it out. It's gonna be cool. And Gunnar's like, I'm already gone.
What?
Me and my troops have already ridden away, so I didn't hear what you said about planning.
That's awesome.
But
Probably dies, but
he dies at the end, like, because the Iron Horde and the ogres are invading your garrison or whatever. No, this is after that.
It's after that, yeah.
It's after that. Your garrison gets invaded by the Iron Horde. You fight them off, and then you go, and there's a huge like invasion of the Iron Horde coming into Frostfire Ridge.
oh gee.
And you're trying to hold them off at this one pass. And so you play an event where you spend a long time like fighting waves of Iron Horde that come in.
Mm-hmm.
With like you're there, Durtan's there, Gagnar's there, Lokra's there, a bunch of other people. Like other named orcs are there that you've been helping, that you've been questing with.
Okay.
Like you've been doing quests for them all around, and now they've all gathered together here for this event to fight off this invasion coming through the pass.
Draka's there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Draka's there.
Duratan's wifey.
Yeah.
So Drekthar's gonna pull down the mountain to block the pass, but we gotta hold him off long enough or whatever. And then, so after you fight him off long enough, you get this cool cinematic where like, they're like, look, we can't fight them off anymore. There's getting to be too many of them now, like all at once. So we gotta fall back or whatever. So Duratan calls for the retreat, and then Drekthar's like, yo, not ready yet.
What?
So Durtan's like, all right, Gunnar, we're gonna stand here together like brothers and take this out. And Gunnar's like, no, man, our people need a leader. You gotta go. And then he just like charges the Iron Horde by himself.
Jeez.
And then you see like it's like they do a really good job of building up that like intensity, like going back and forth. Like Gunnar's just fighting people left and right, and look, you see Drekthar like concentrating on the mountain, like summoning down the lightning or whatever to tear the mountain down. And then, like, as he finally is bringing the mountain down, Gunnar just yells Loktar, like, as loud as he can while the mountain crushes him and all the orcs that he's fighting.
Feels.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of really just awesome interaction between the characters, and not just yourself, but really between the characters, because there's a point where you're Drektar's like, hey, Gunnar, let's plan, and Gunnar's like, what? I'm already killed two ogres. I can't hear you. And when that happens, at some point you go and try to help Gunnar out. And when Gunnar goes back to camp, he's like, you know what, Drekthar? You're a big wuss ball, and I'm taking this shit over.
Oh.
And he gets all mouthy, and he's like challenges him to Makaroth, and fight to the death.
Right.
And Duratan, being smart and wise, diffuses the whole situation, and Gnar comes to his senses. But it's it's a very orky, high
Right.
octane, intense situation, that is constantly happening, and it's just very enthralling. It's very good.
Yeah. Very enjoyable.
Sounds like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I have my complaints about it still, but
Well, let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say.
it's mostly in the like I hated the new talent system when they introduced it in Pandaria. I still hate it now. I hate the originally I started playing MMOs, and what really hooked me is that like sense of accomplishment that you can get. It's false accomplishment, sure, but you can get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like now when you level up, it's sort of like, congratulations on being 91. Let me know when you're 100 because nobody gives a shit that you're 91.
Ooh.
I don't get new skills. I don't get new anything. Now, every even level, you do get a random perk from the list of 5 perks. So eventually, you will have all of the perks, but you don't get to decide which ones you get first. You just get randomly assigned a perk when you ding 92, 94, 96, and 100.
Okay.
So that's kind of shitty,
Yeah.
I think. And I hate not getting anything when I level up. Like everyone's like, well, you get better naturally. You don't have to go and train now. No, I liked going to train. I feel like I had worked towards something, and then I accomplished it, and I went and received my rewards for doing so.
Right.
Now I D91, and my only reward is to start killing monsters again because I'm not yet level 100. That kind of turns me off a little bit. Like every time I ding, I'm like, oh, I remember when this used to be cool.
Yeah.
Remember when it used to be cool that I mean, you still got the bong whoosh or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, you got 3 more strength, hooray. But it's just not the same. And that bothers me. I love playing my druid, but my druid feels more and more pigeonholed. Like,
Really.
I feel like they've now just given you the option to play, like instead of a druid, you just have like the option to play differently, like the other classes, and you get to play like a mage, but with a different graphic. You get to play warrior, but with a different graphic. Or rogue, but from the viewpoint 2 feet off the ground. Because now you're a cat and not a rogue. Like, it just feels more pigeonholed. I miss the days of druids being like the jack of all trades, where you wouldn't be the best at anything, but you could be good at everything.
True. Yeah. Ah, the old druid days.
The instances are really short.
Oh,
Like,
that's disappointing.
there was no reason to talk before to people in the random pugs, and there's even less now.
Oh, wow.
There's no new real mechanics. Like, mechanics aren't really different. You're like, oh, this fight is just like a different fight that we already had, pretty much, And they're super short to the point where, like, I think one of Iron Docks, I think it's maybe like, I think you can get through it in like 6 pulls, not counting bosses. Like 6 trash packs, 4 bosses, and you're done. You go home.
Wow.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Really disappointing.
I mean, they're all just super short, and that always. I guess it's what the new players want. I guess it's more newbie player friendly or whatever, but it's more casual friendly because nobody has to invest an hour of time. You literally spend 15 minutes. I mean, I'm longer in queue to get into an instance group than I am ever in an instance group.
That's disappointing.
In my day.
Yeah, right?
Back in my day.
You can't help but feel that way, though.
Yeah, well, it's true. Back when I played EverQuest.
I had to walk a half hour to get to BRD, and then I had to walk 45 minutes in BRD.
Dude, I wish you were lying. But
You're absolutely
no, yeah, I'm not lying.
oh.
45 minutes is not. That's like the fastest run possible in BRD days. That's.
I remember doing BRD at level, well, not really at level, but like right at 60. And I had just the blues from the dungeons, but you could do BRD, and there was so much involved. It would take you several hours to go through it.
Oh, yeah.
Great. And I kind of miss that, but at the same time, I kind of don't miss that.
Well, I think there could be a happy medium found somewhere, but
Yeah.
Or we could have some quick ones and some long ones, but I don't know. I just feel like it's also lost its sense of like any sort of community. I feel like it's a solo game now where I occasionally group up with other people to kill big bad guys for loot. Oh, they have also changed the loot system now. All
Oh,
bosses and instances, and I believe raids, are based on personal loot. So every dude who goes in after you kill the boss, you individually get a roll, and you will either get gold or a blue item. So we could theoretically kill boss number 1 in this instance, and he will drop a blue item for everyone in the party.
Wow.
It's happened more than once. Like, everybody picks up a blue from this boss.
Huh.
You know? Or we could kill all 4 bosses in the instance, and nobody get a blue.
Oh.
But everybody gets a sweet 12 gold for coming to
Sweet.
play.
Not that sweet.
You're in there for like what, 10 minutes? You said?
Yeah.
Well,
It's about 15, 20 minutes, something like that. I mean, it's not a long time.
Yeah, but if you have a system that doesn't really, I mean, even if it's greens, like some sort of reward has to be
Right.
given for accomplishing that. And if you take
Well,
it
you
away,
you get the same like you get experience and gold for finishing the dungeon in general because if you do like the random dungeon finder or whatever. And if you're smart, at your garrison you build a tavern. Because the tavern has random people show up to it. And one of the people who shows up every day is a person who will give you a quest for a random dungeon of your level.
okay.
And that quest will always reward you with gold, a blue item of your level for your class and spec, and a Pexus crystals, which is one of the new, well, old new currencies for buying stuff.
Okay.
one of the Nold. It's called Nold.
It's called Nold.
Yeah, new old.
Nold, got it.
Nold.
Yeah, I mean, we did a Pexus crystals back in Burning Crusader.
Yeah, I think.
Was it-
when-
yeah,
a little
yeah,
after
Burning
the-
Crusade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Weren't the Apexis crystals specifically for the?
ogres. It was ogre stuff.
The-
What's
yeah,
going on with the ogres up there?
Oh, was it the ogre? Okay, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was the ogres.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it was because you had to kill like the elite ogres to get them back when it was hard to kill elites.
It's gonna be weird. To see back when it was hard to kill.
Every zone is loot aisle as well.
Really?
There's probably 5, 6, maybe more rare spawns. You can't see the air quotes, but they're very large air quotes. Rare spawns that are up every time I walk past that drop a piece of random blue loot
Okay. Well.
that are easily soloable by a single person.
So it's not even loot aisle because half those things were not soloable.
right.
Well, it depends on how many people you had around. Because the mobs on loot aisle like got up tougher depending on
yeah.
the number of people that were around.
Right,
Some
but
of them
you
could
you
solo.
couldn't do the ship alone.
Oh
you know.
no.
No, it would. Well, no, because the ship would sail away before you could kill it. Yeah. But I've soloed Hulan before.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that you can solo, and then there's plenty that you can't.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was nearly half though.
I don't. You know what? I can't even remember now. Like, obviously you couldn't solo Celestials, but they're not really. Well, they're kind of.
Right. They're kind of on, but yeah, we have to summon them, so it's a little different.
Right.
The giant rock guy who was on like the 3-day timer. That
Not
guy you could
soloable.
not solo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could not solo that
soloable.
dude.
Any of the
couldn't solo
fire
ship.
dudes.
Cinder dude or whatever his name was.
Yeah, any of the guys up on the ridge there, the fire guys.
Or something like that.
That one dude that you had to summon, you could summon or whatever.
Archimond or whatever? Not
Yeah.
Archimond, but
Archimond? Soloable.
Arcturus. Is he?
Soloed Archibald or whatever, that Archie guy.
It wasn't so hard.
Soloed
unless you just
Archie.
didn't like. You had to kill the kill masters.
Well,
Because those
the thing
guys-
about soloing Archie is that like I would just literally get on my Death Knight and just keep dotting him and kiting him around in a circle.
Ah,
Kite around a circle for 20 minutes on my DK and killed him.
owned.
Like, what's up, bitches?
Well,
That's how
yeah.
you kill Archimond by yourself.
Yeah, as long as you didn't get like tagged by the kiln masters, you were generally fine.
Dude, those
Yeah.
kill masters are ridiculous.
The Killmaster's super easy if you just kill the kill.
Right, but
Yeah.
nobody ever would. They would go aggro like 10 of them. And
Yeah.
just run away.
And then get murdered, right?
Yeah.
True enough. But like I said, there's a lot of good things about it. There's a lot of things that irritate me about it still, but I'm gonna give it a chance, at least up through some LFR content, see how mind-numbingly boring that is.
Well, I just gotta
People are still too stupid to get out of stuff.
You know what? That's never gonna change.
It's even more obvious now. Like they've gone out of their way to make it even more obvious. You should not be standing here, and I still see people die and stuff. There's one boss in Skyreach, they call it, where he like puts gigantic wind clouds on the ground. They're huge, and I don't care how low you have your graphics turned down, you're going to be able to see it.
Okay.
But I've still seen like dozens of people die in it.
I don't.
I'm like, you just get out of you just stop casting, and get out of the cloud.
Well, there's your problem. they can't stop DPSing.
I'm like, dude, you're already number 4 on DPS anyway, so
Bro.
just go ahead and call it a day and get out of the cloud so I don't have to res you later.
They gotta fight for every inch, those guys.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I have yet to be in an instance where the tank was not by far top DPS and damage done.
So it's
by
like
far.
They've kind of gone back to that whole thing.
Like 40% or better every time.
Wow.
Well, that's how it was pretty much in Mists early on. I mean, once you hit 100, if it stays that way, there's issues.
Huh. Well, I remember when like Burning Crusade first dropped and they changed the warrior DPS, or not DPS, but tank mechanics around to where you could do like shield slam and revenge, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Then you saw tanks, especially warrior tanks, really put the damage out.
Dude.
Which is funny because didn't they like just take away Vengeance?
Shit.
Did they?
Yeah, they took away Vengeance. Yeah.
What?
They've given you. Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment. They took away all like. Other than Critical Strike, Haste, and Mastery, nothing else is left on the secondary list. There's no block, there's no parry, there's no any of that. So instead they've added a bunch of new secondary stats.
Yeah.
One of them is Versatility, which gives you a flat damage increase and a flat damage taken decrease. Okay.
Okay.
Like percentage, like you get basically half the percentage in damage. So it's sort of like what was that shitty stat for PvP?
Which one?
The one like the PvP stat that everybody stacked.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you thought resilience?
Resilience. Yeah, it's like resilience for PvE.
Oh man.
It's basically straight up resilience for PvE. And I think it's actually point for point the most effective stat damage wise.
Interesting.
Because just a flat increase in damage. So point for point you get more for it than you will any point of haste or any point of mastery or any point in critical strike. Like pound for pound, you're getting better value out of versatility. They've also added multi-strike, which gives you an X% chance, depending on how much multi-strike you have, that chance grows up, to do two extra attacks to the same target on every one of your attacks for, I think, 10% of the damage done or 20% of the damage done, something like that.
Well,
So
let me ask a quick question, Roby. When you were saying pound for pound, is that because it double dips for tanks, or is that for everybody?
It's for everybody. I think because just the damage increase you get on it, like 1 point of... Now, and I haven't done all the math. Okay? Especially for tanks, I think it's going to be your best option. And for any sort of healer, like, because Disc Priest, you get a bonus to damage and to healing, and a reduction in damage dealt to you. That reduction in damage dealt to you, not as important as the fact that you get, like, extra damage and extra healing. So you're double dipping on your healing when you're a Disc Priest.
Okay.
For every point of versatility. But the way versatility stacks is faster in percent damage. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I have 100 haste and 100 versatility. I have to choose between one or the other. Well, the 100 haste is going to allow me to have one extra attack every 25 attacks. Okay?
Right.
Whereas the 100 versatility is going to make me do 5% more damage on all of my attacks. So I've already added up to that 25th attack way before I get to my 25th attack.
Okay.
Right.
So as far as DPS increase goes, I believe it's the best stat for the vast majority of classes. Obviously, not every class is that going to be true, but
Okay.
I've done a little bit of mathing and theory crafting. I'm sure somebody out there has done it all and will tell me that I'm wrong about it, but
No, clearly he's wrong. He hasn't done this.
I can just tell you you're wrong without doing any math. How about that?
Might as well.
okay. Yeah, let's try that.
You're wrong?
Nope, I'm not.
Oh.
Uh, so, I
It
mean,
Fair point,
almost
sir.
worked though. It almost
Fair,
worked.
fair point. Fair point.
sounds like it's a pretty cool game, though. Sounds like it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy it. It'd be interesting to get the band back together and see what happened.
Whew.
But I don't think the band's ever going to get back together at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so let's I guess move on to the Dragon of Age,
Yeah, we can
Yes.
the Inquisition.
Inquisition. So I've only played a little bit, so I'm gonna go with just like first impressions,
Okay.
and then you can go more in depth if you'd like. But
All right.
the first thing that you notice when you start playing this game is that it is gorgeous.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is a very pretty game. Environments are pretty. The texturing is pretty. Lots of polygons. The problem, the glaring issue with this though, is that this is a BioWare game. So anybody who's played a BioWare game understands that it's very heavy on story and player interaction with NPCs. Very, very heavy on that. So anytime you interact with NPCs, you get this little mini cutscene and it shows your face and you're talking and interacting with these people. Everybody has dead eyes. Nobody has any kind of expression. There's no animations to the faces at all, really, other than they move their mouths, and that's about it.
Their
And-
mouths, I mean, they do a decent job of tracking what actual words are. Like you can kind of read some of the words from what they say.
Right. And that's not bad, but there's no expressions in their eyes or anywhere else in their face. And because the game is so pretty, this is just made all the more obvious. This particular issue, it annoys me a lot.
Yeah.
That this happens this way. It's really, really frustrating because they have facial animations, albeit small, but something would have been nice. In other BioWare games like SWTOR has them.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember that problem being so bad in SWTOR.
Yeah, Mass Effect has them. That's they have them other places. It's just they just don't have them here at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's above everyone's nose, it's just plastic. But that's the first glaring issue that I had. That being said, it's still a very pretty game.
Oh yeah.
As far as the actual combat goes, because that's pretty important, combat. It is a really flawlessly combined version of Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age 1.
It really is. You're absolutely right.
And you can play this game exactly like you played Dragon Age 1 or exactly like you played Dragon Age 2, though on harder difficulties you have to play it like Dragon Age 1, otherwise you'll just get your face pushed in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you play it on some of the lower difficulties, you can play it very actiony, hack and slash, and even the animations for that are really, really well done.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff with them.
Yeah. The contact between your enemy and yourself feels really, really good, even from a hack and slash sort of in close, right over the shoulder vantage point. So it can completely play the game that way. Yeah, it feels really good. It's excellent. The abilities are really satisfying from the ones that I've played, which I've only played a Rogue and a Warrior. And the character customization, it is insane unless you want to give your character good hair, and then it's not insane.
That's always been BioWare's downfall.
Yeah, and it's worse in this version of in this BioWare game than almost any other one that I've played. The hair options are terrible. They are terrible. There's just very few of them, and the ones that are there suck. Good luck making a female character with long hair because it just doesn't exist. So,
dude, I think why can't they do long hair? I mean, with SWTOR, it took an expansion and money for you to buy a long hair pack, and it's
They don't want to worry about the clipping issues it causes.
pretty much is what it comes down to. I mean, it's the part of the problem with the graphics is that it feels half baked. They did this amazing job with texturing, and the models look fantastic, but they're not animated that well. Well, the action is, but the facial animations, there's none. And And then there's things like, because they just want to avoid the clipping issues, they're like, oh, well, we're just not going to put this in, so, we don't have any clipping. You know what? Let's have some clipping. I'd rather have some clipping
Right.
and decent hair options than no clipping at all. And there's still clipping. It's not like they got rid of the problem. You can't. I've never played a game where there wasn't clipping.
Yeah, especially a BioWare game.
It's just going to happen. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. I just
Wow, they just don't even worry about it. They're like, yep, shit clips. Happens.
Here it is.
Like your cloak half the time flies through the middle of your body and covers your head.
All the time. Yeah.
Or you're like,
They're like,
your
fuck
mouth
off.
in half.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
I will say this with the characters and kind of what you were touching on before, and you're saying it's such amazing graphics wise that the detail and it's very beautiful, but everybody looks like they're sweating.
Yes.
Literally, everybody looks like they're just wet.
Sweaty Dragon Age.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you're in the mountains and there's snow, but you're wearing a lot of armor, so I can get it, but it just they're way too shiny, way too shiny.
Yeah.
Dude, don't you think real people are that shiny?
I've seen some shiny people, but that usually
Everyone's glistening all the time.
Right.
my body's so glistening.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I also want to say that this is one of the most forward-thinking games, as far as social issues go. BioWare's always kind of been known for that in the first place, but this more so than others. We'll start off with the fact that in character customization, it doesn't matter what you are. You can put on whatever makeup you want. You can be like a super pale-faced, white-skinned male with bright red lipstick and way too much blush. It's whatever you want. So that's the first thing. And then
Let's make that a thing.
We can, yeah. Let's.
I think it is a thing. Dragon Age character.
I think it is a thing. I think it's what is it called? Juggalos. That's what it's called.
Oh god. I want to be the Dragon Age Juggalo.
Black blush. You could probably do that. But the other thing is that the romance options, another famous BioWare staple, males have 2 bisexual options, two, or is it 2, 2, and 2, right?
Yeah, it's 2, 2, and
2. Yeah, so 2 bisexual options, 2 gay options, homosexual options, and then 2 straight options, and likewise with the females. So you have a wide variety of options for romance as well, which I'm a big fan of as well. So
yeah,
I think it's pretty cool that they really give you this ability to be this crazy. What was I going to call that? If you're not bisexual or when you just have sex with everything.
Pansexual.
Pansexual, thank you. Yeah, pansexual juggalo orc. Do it. Or not orc, but
dwarf.
I could do dwarf. I was thinking of the big guys with the horns.
Oh, the Kunari.
Kunari, yeah.
Yeah, which
I'm for it.
I don't know if you've gotten Iron Bull yet your playthrough, but from the first time you meet him, you can already start flirting with him. Guy or girl, doesn't matter. So he's one of those options, but it's huge, and there's a cutscene where say you're hooking up and stuff like that, and they walk in and they're like, oh, sorry, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but you get interrupted when things are going down with you and Iron Bull, and then I think one of them asks who's taking it or something like that, and Iron Bull just goes, oh, he's taking it. It's just funny. It's funny just to mess with all those options.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's just my initial feelings on the game. I feel like it's just really following suit for what AAA games are now, where they they put a lot of money, maybe too much money, into certain things, and then they realize they're running out of money, and they're like, okay, well, or time, perhaps both.
Destiny.
And yeah, exactly. And they just cut it short, and it feels a lot of you see where they've taken shortcuts, and it hurts me to see this. And this is part of the reason why I'm really I really like this sort of rollback to very indie sort of games and simple games that like Blizzard's doing as well, like Hearthstone, like Heroes of the Storm, because it allows them to make a full game, and make it really good all around, even though it's not particularly complicated graphically or gameplay wise. So anyway, that's just side note there. But okay. I haven't played much, so I can't really talk about the storyline or further combat or anything like that. I'll leave that all up to you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm on my third playthrough.
Yes.
Fiend.
Tell us about the storyline, Ryan. What are we accomplishing here
Well,
in the Dragon Age, our third trip to Dragon Age land?
well, it's weird because like in the first one, there
It's
was
right beside Disneyland.
like in Dragon Age 1, you had a clear enemy. It was a Darkspawn. Every single step you took to gather your crew to fight this Darkspawn, you saw where it was claiming more and more of the world to the point where, as the later part of the game, there's areas you just couldn't go back to because it was completely covered in blight. And this one, everything, like, you're not really sure who the enemy is at first. Like, it starts off, and immediately out of the gate, it starts off with conflict. Like, the loading screen is all the mages and Templars walking to the Great Divine, Justinia, who's like the leader of the Chantry, basically the Pope. And so they're up there for peace talks. Well, after you select, new game or whatever, that explodes. And then there's like this giant rift that appears above that place, and you get like kind of feedback, not really feedback, it's more like bits of audio trapped in time that you can hear as you're walking through the area, and you realize that there was a sacrifice, something like that. So right then you know that there's just like a main bad guy, but you don't know who he is, what he is, or whatever. So your whole game, you're just trying to figure out who this one person is, and then trying to it's almost like cleanup to me. And what I mean by that is you got to find the Grey Wardens, which were like the heroes of the first one.
Right.
You got to either side, and I hate the fact that they do this. I mean, you have to side with either the mages or the Templars. You can't do both, which
I like that.
I mean, it's cool and all, but I would at least like the option to have both. I mean, it would be cool to have everybody fighting in Skyhold.
Well, then you're just a shitty fence sitter. Way to go, fence sitter.
Well,
Right. Make
I
a
like
choice,
that
bro.
as much.
Although theoretically the world is full of fit setters, so they gotta have the option to have neither of them there because neither of them care enough about them.
Yeah, but they're shitty.
You're introduced to this character in Dragon Age 1 called Flemeth, and this other character named Morrigan, and she's kind of like a mage that you meet in the beginning of Dragon Age 1. You don't see her that much in Dragon Age 2.
You mean you talked to Morgan's mother more
Yeah,
in Dragon Age
Flemeth plays a big part, which
Yeah, Flemeth.
so I mean, this one here, they kind of take a lot of the story that you know and the lore from the Dragon Age 1 and 2 that you learn, and they kind of take it and turn it over. So they're like, okay, what you thought you know isn't really what you know, and you're learning it. Like, spoiler alert, you realize that the one god that trapped all the other gods in the Fade in the Golden City is the Dreadwolf, and he just happens to be.
Well, hold on. You're kind of jumping around a bit because
I am. I'm excited. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Let's go back. Let's kind of go back to 1 and then kind of go over the storyline up to this point because 1 is when the Darkspawn are first really introduced, obviously.
Yeah, it's considered the fifth blight.
The fifth blight, and your character is central in, I guess, Ground Zero, where the blight and the Darkspawn are coming from. Correct?
Right. Correct. Yeah. It's
Okay.
the Call of Wilds, I believe, is where they first start busting out from.
Right. And 1, actually, tell us how 1 ends, because I never actually played 1, so.
Okay. There's a lot of different options, but if you want like the default, the canon option.
Okay.
The king is dead. You realize that one of the Grey Wardens in your party is part of the royal family, so you push him to become king. So he becomes king of Ferelden. But long story short, like, you're fighting back. You have to rally the troops. It's really hard without like going into hours of explanation.
Well, the basic idea is that you fight the Darkspawn and you kind of push him back.
Yeah, you learn that the Darkspawn are always going to exist, and they search for these old gods to create the archdemon, which is usually the giant dragon. So once you fight them, it's almost like, light comes back to everything, and the blight recedes back into the deep roads. So I mean, that's the whole purpose, is just to kill that archdemon. You don't ever really realize that there's even more. There's like something else going on in play. Like it's kind of hinted at with side quests and stuff, but you don't really know as much about that. And two, and I'm sure you remember this, like you start to really get into the more, like they discover red lyrium.
Right. Right. Well, two. Basically, one ends with you pushing back the Darkspawn, pushing back the Blight, and but there's still a lot of chaos and fallout
Everything
from
is
that
left in
conflict,
ruin.
right?
Yeah.
So your character in 2 starts. He's one of the people who is a victim of the fallout of this war, and leaves Ferelden and ends up on this. Wow, what the hell's the name of the city?
Kirkwall.
Kirkwall. Thank you. At the walls of Kirkwall, which is a large city like across a small sea, and you're a refugee there, and that's how you start off your adventures there in Kirkwall, and that's where 2 kind of picks up as like one of the refugees from the fallout of the first game, and then the see, what was it? Yeah, it really gets more into the storyline. It's less about the Darkspawn, though they're there.
Right.
And it's more about the conflict between the Templars and the mages that was present in 1, highlighted in 2.
Right. And let's kind of real quick here kind of go into the reason why there's conflict. So you have the Chantry, which is kind of like the Catholic Church. It's the ruling body, the papal state.
Yeah.
And you have mages, which when you use magic, you get into the thing called the Fade, which is basically like the other dimension where the spirits and demons and stuff all live.
It's the source of magic.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And a lot of people draw from it, and sometimes they don't really pay attention to how much they're drawing, or they want more power to the point where they end up getting possessed and turned into abominations. So to fight that, the Chantry created the Templar Order, which you find out later on the Templar Order was what the original Inquisition became. But their whole deal is they use this stuff called lyrium, which is like an organic material that the dwarves mine, to kind of block their magical power and make them be able to stand up against these mages. So they created things called circles, which, while some mages will say the circle is the best place for a mage because it's where you can study the arts in a safe environment, other mages consider it, tyranny. It's like a prison.
Yeah, it basically is a prison where you can continue to be magey.
Right, but you're always under the watchful eye. You're mistreated. I mean, there's different different books you can read in 3 that tell you about certain circles and how the mages were brutally oppressed and stuff like that, and some were free. But ultimately, that's what causes this rift between the mages and the Templars. Just this animosity builds up and builds up, and that's mostly what 2 is about, if I remember correctly.
You're correct, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted to kind of.
So did you have to pick a side in 2?
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah,
you did. You had to pick a side in 2, and 3 really starts off with you start to see connections between the Darkspawn, the Fade, and the Templar Order, and all this stuff is all kind of connected in a way. They're all, one begets the other, so to speak. And in 3, it kind of
where do the Grey Wardens fit into that?
Well, the Grey Wardens were a huge part in 1. Like they only come out.
And 2, you become a Grey Warden too.
True, yeah, but they're not as. And they're not as big in that as they are
in 1.
Right. Well, in 1, the whole point is you become a Grey Warden and you're here to save the world.
Because it's a blight. So when the blight comes out, Grey Wardens come into action. They can do whatever they want at that point. It's inscription time. They take what they need for the fight and stuff like that.
Well, yeah.
They go away.
Yeah, the Grey Wardens are basically they're not part of the Chantry, they're not part of the Templar or the Mages. They're sort of like this this fourth faction that just kind of swoops in when the world needs them and sacrifices their lives to save the world. That's the whole point of a Grey Warden, that you're gonna die in service.
So the Grey Wardens are, when they're not directly involved in things, they're usually in the deep roads with the dwarves fighting the Darkspawn, just because that's what they do. So I mean, in two, it's more of a political thing. It's not so much just cut and dry. Grey Ward, like one was cut and dry. You're Grey Warden, you kill Darkspawn, game over, done. Second
Right.
was you had to set people in power. You had to defuel, um, de-escalate situations and stuff like that, or fan the flames and watch it explode. Um, but they didn't really play a huge part, at least in what I remember in the second one, only because it was more of you becoming the champion of Kirkwall, becoming this leader.
Well, and what the part that your character plays that's important, that goes into 3, is that your character and the events that happen into break down the balance of power that had existed between the Templars, the Chantry, and the Mages
Generations, yeah.
for generations. So the Mages sort of became free; they weren't slaves anymore, and
Because of
they,
Anders.
yeah, because of Anders, yeah, they regained their power.
Yeah.
And so in 3, the whole thing begins with, uh, well, a quick note, really cool. The beginning of 2 and the ending of 2 has a specific scene where one of your companions in 2 is being interrogated by what they call a seeker, whose name escapes me now.
Cassandra.
Cassandra, yeah. And, so 3 is a direct follow-up to 2.
Yeah, and
Because
immediately after.
yeah, it's immediately after. It's pretty quickly after this, because Cassandra basically is looking for you, your character from 2,
Right.
because you had such a huge part to play in the events of 2. So Cassandra, she's featured immediately, and so is the person that was being interviewed, which is the dwarf, whose name I also
Varric.
forget.
Varric.
Thank you, Varric. Yeah, Varric, who's awesome.
Awesome.
Anyways, just a quick note before you continue on with that
Yeah.
line of
Well,
thought.
I mean, and well, okay. So kind of what you're getting into with 3, like Cassandra seeks you out. You immediately hook up with Cassandra. You hook up with Liliana, who is someone that you meet in Dragon Age 1. She's a faithful person, considers herself one of Andraste's chosen. Andraste being the Jesus of
Right.
the world. So then she has parts in 2 she plays, and in 3, and then Knight Commander Cullen, which is you get a lot of him in 2 as well when you deal with. I don't think he's Knight Commander in 2, but he's like kind of higher up there um, in the Templar Order. And so they're all there, and they start the Inquisition. They're all there because right after 2, one of your party members he explodes the Chantry. He just walks into the big church and lets loose this magic bomb that is seen for miles, this giant pillar of light that just explodes everything, immediately tossing the world into chaos. So then you've got mages who realize that they can break away from the circles now, so they're revolting against the Templar. The Templar are going crazy because they can't have any of this stuff. This is all not, they have to kill these mages. So open war starts on everywhere. Like you can't walk down the street without getting in the middle between a mage battle versus
Templars.
a Templar. Yeah. So I mean that's kind of like immediately after 3 starts and the giant explosion. You have to deal with that war going on as well as
Well, and the war's happening because the peace talks broke down in a giant explosion.
exactly.
Like you don't know what happens exactly. Your character starts off basically being in the explosion, being at these peace talks for one reason or another.
Right. It's a
That's
different explosion than what happened at Kirkwall.
Yeah, it's different. It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same explosion. Um, that's important to remember because there was no peace talks
Yeah.
happening. Like the whole reason why the peace talks were happening was because of the explosion in Kirkwall, because
Exactly.
mages were getting free from the circles and stuff. So these peace talks are beginning, but somebody basically just it's basically like bombing a UN peace summit,
Right.
Right.
and so this open war starts to take place between Templars and mages. And that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah. Well,
That's as far as I've gotten.
I mean, I can go into detail, and I'll spare you some of the stuff just because you're still playing through the thing. But you eventually realize that a person you fought in Kirkwall is the new bad guy. He considers himself a god. He says he's been to the Golden City, which is where the gods are, and he's been on the other side of that. And in the reason that that's a big issue is because in the lore for the game, the reason the Darkspawn exists is because man basically thought they were good enough to walk the Fade, which is the magical realm, and they would be able to be mortals in the holy city with the gods. So their punishment was they were cast out, and the leaders of that group were they were cast aside, and they're considered the old gods that get turned into archdemons and stuff. So you find out that he claims to have been one of those people. So he's got this giant archdemon that he's controlling, this giant dragon that's rolling with you. He revitalizes the Tevinters, which is a very like their society is like they exist, but they exist in a different area. They're called the Tevinter Imperium, and they Orlais and Ferelden are the main worlds you play in, and no one ever really deals with the Tevinters because they're crazy. They're just magic. They don't care who they hurt and stuff like that. A lot of blood magic. But so then you realize that this person has control of the Tevinter Imperium and is just proceeding to walk this world to bits. He's just destroying everything. So then you realize, okay, that's a true enemy. So then you got to rally everybody up to go fight him. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. So that's,
So bring the Tevinter Imperium back into it, huh?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird too because like there's a few areas where you can explore because eventually you march and you find the Grave Wardens, you find out what happened to them, and they kind of have a part to play once you realize what's going on. And then you come across these old temples out in this desert. 'Cause this is one area that you can go to. It's just a giant desert area. And this one temple, it's frozen in time, like when you're in it. And like it's a battle, so like you're walking, there's like explosions you can walk through and stuff like that that aren't really happening. Like it's all there, it's just in different places.
Right.
And it's like demons versus these Tevinter mages, and it looks really cool. Then of course you walk into the room and you see this staff that's an awesome staff sitting inside this little mechanism, and what do? You yank it out and
Right.
it turns everything back on. So like the war just starts boom happening all around you immediately. So you got to fight your way out of that, which is really cool. But they do a really good job with like instead of just having one home base in this game, like you can actually take over places. Like you go to this one area that was completely covered over by the blight and then flooded. So there's a castle that's being controlled by not really mercenaries, bandits, really. And then once you take it, you put the flag up. The next thing you know, you have your imperial army is there and stuff like that. And you've got this new base that you can do missions and stuff out of. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's so much detail too. Like, they pay a lot of homage to a lot of the old stuff. Like, there's a lot of Dalish lore in this one, and a lot of elf lore. So, you can go through and learn about the more, because I mean, throughout the entirety of the first two games, it's all Andraste. Specifically in one, like you are literally on the trail of Andraste as she was going through the mountains and stuff like that. This one is a lot more. You're learning like everything's caused by these elven artifacts and stuff like that. So you're researching this. There's a lot more dragons to fight in this one. Like I think every zone. What's that?
Well, I was going to say, I think really the thing to take away from all this is that, this world is very fully realized.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of factions and it's very, very fully realized. Like, this was a real world type power struggle, and that's what's really cool about it is that there's a lot of moving pieces and parts, and it does a good job of, despite the fact that there's all these moving pieces and parts, that you don't necessarily have to be paying attention to all that stuff to enjoy it and to enjoy the interactions between the characters. So if you just want to go in and hack and slash stuff and just that's also perfectly fine. So there's a lot of different ways to play the game. It is very story heavy though, and I feel like if you are a lore whore like I am and like Ryan is, then I think the game's going to be extremely enjoyable for you.
There's tons of books everywhere. Because like every time you take a new area, it unlocks all these new books, and then when you get Skyhold, there's all these ancient books there. So I mean, you could literally spend several hours just reading these stories.
Yeah, and admittedly, a lot of people feel that 2 was utter crap in comparison to 1. I didn't play 1 that much. I started off with 2. You can start off with 3 as well if you'd like. You do miss a lot of interaction and a lot of these returning characters that it's much more exciting when you start off and you realize that you're interacting with Cassandra from 2.
Yeah.
And then you realize that she still has Varric with her, from
Which
the
is
end of
interesting
2.
'cause they fought all the time, and they still
Yeah,
do.
they still do. It's much more exciting, but the characters are still fleshed out very well within their own game. So you can just pick up 3 and play it, but I feel like to get the full experience, play 1, play 2,
Definitely.
and then dive into 3.
Well, I mean, even if
First.
you don't have time to play all the other ones first, I mean, even though it's recommended, definitely do that. DragonAgeKeep.com, like they will actually like you can create different scenarios based on the major decisions in the first 2 games. So you can create completely brand new. Like I have 3 or 4 different saves from 3 or 4 different decision setups from the first one, so it all affects and stuff like that. Like, for instance, if you set Alistair
Right.
in
If you
power,
don't save the Rachni Queen, then
right,
it's totally different.
right, yeah. So I mean, if you're a fan of Mass Effect in that regard, but it's not like you have to download saves from other people. Like they just set it up for you, and it's like a 10-minute story. So it's Varric narrating it, and you can actually hear all the story, and you understand they do a really good job of like catching you up without leaving you in a movie theater for 2.5 hours.
Right.
So
It's pretty awesome.
yeah, but
Would it
it's a
would
fun
it be
game.
better? Well, if everyone has dead eyes, it probably wouldn't be better if they left me in a movie theater for 2.5 hours. But
Yeah, that is the one thing, and like you said, the eyes. I mean, they focus on different people, but you're absolutely right. They do have that like dead look to them.
Well, and there's no brow movement or furrowing of your brow or like frowning or smiling. None of that really exists. Your mouth kind of moves, but that's about it,
Yeah.
really. It's
And
how do you make a good game with dwarves without frowning?
right?
well, their main dwarf character Varric doesn't even have a beard, so take that for what you will.
The fuck?
I'm a little disappointed that even though this game is a lot like that's one of the major complaints about the second one was that it didn't have any open world feel to it. The first one had massive open world feel to it. And this one now has massive open world feel to it. But you don't really get to go into the dwarven kingdoms and do stuff like that. Like I'm hoping if they bring an expansion out, because they usually do DLC for these games. So I'm hoping that there's going to be an area where you can just like go down into Orzammar again. Like I miss going through all the dwarf cities and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the world is big enough and complicated enough that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
There's enough stuff going on. Like they could have an entire, Dalish, game, which is the Wood
Yeah.
Elves or whatever. Um, they can do whatever they want. And there's never, like, there's never the threat of not having a threat to fight.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be blights. So and archdemons to fight. So it'll be interesting, really. And I mean, even though this game, like they completely set the ending of this game up for a DLC or the next game, and they're really the whole big story is kind of coming down to a point. Um, it's really I'm really excited to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So characters from 1 that are still around. Alistair's still around?
Alistair is still around. Well, if you set him into power, like if you make him king from the first one, he is still around. Like I just finished the mage area for Redcliffe this time, where I got the mages, and Alistair and the royal court come marching in. Oddly enough, after everything was complete, after you
Right.
did all the dirty work,
Not in
and
time to help, but
yeah, and kicked the mages out of Redcliffe.
That's well, you know what? That's the Alistair, the part Alistair has played though since 2. He did that in 2 and he did that in 1, but he is canonically he was put into power.
Yeah,
I mean, your own story can play out completely differently, but the default canon is that he was put into power.
yeah. Which I put him into power every time I played just because I hated that guy.
you hated Alistair?
I could not stand him. I don't know why. I just never liked him.
Fucking jealousy is why, bro. Calm down.
Maybe
He's just a video game character.
I
But
just
No, I always liked Alistair from the first one, and Liliani, whatever her name was. She was awesome.
in this one, dude. She is cutthroat. Like she
Nice.
is cruel. I mean, you can definitely tell she has become the Nightingale, like the spy master. And she's, I mean, there's one option where she just cuts this kid's throat, and you're just holy shit. Anyway,
Nice. That's awesome.
yeah.
the it's
Morgan was
funny.
super cool too.
I remember from 1 before it came out, watching the cinematic for it and going, "This is gorgeous. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This game's going to be sweet," and it was. Strangely enough, this game is born of Neverwinter Nights, which was born of the Baldur's Gate series. So
Right.
it has this long-running but that's beside the point. Point is, this game looked fantastic, right? And then I went back and I watched the cinematic, and I'm like, it's okay. Like,
Right.
There's far better cinematics now. Like, incredibly better cinematics now. But it's still pretty awesome. Go check it out. Check out all the cinematics from all the games. Honestly, they're cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of good story too.
Yeah. Though it's funny, I went and I watched because I didn't really play one, so I watched the cinematic and everybody I just recognized, and as just all the characters in that game. But then I watched the cinematic for 2, which really focuses on your character in the game. But it's the default guy they have, which is just a dude with a beard and a mustache who is walking around as a mage type of guy. Yeah. So when I played, I played like a black woman for like over and over and over. That was like my main character was a black woman. So every time I see the guy, I'm like, that's not my character. That's not not who the main character was in 2. Which, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyways, it's awesome. Check it out.
Highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the few games you can spend, your 60, 70 bucks, whatever you buy, and actually get a decent amount of gameplay out of it. And the replayability's fun. You can change things around. Like now, this one I'm playing just super cruel. Like as an Inquisitor, everybody's guilty. I don't trust anybody. I'm mean to everything. So. Yeah.
I like to kick puppies.
Right, basically. Like, my dude is that guy. Like, nobody wants to be around my guy. So, yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, well, do you guys have anything else to add, or?
I mean, I got just a couple little things, like, in news. It's nothing really major.
All right, go ahead.
Well, it's just, like, the whole, supposedly North Korea has hacked Sony. And
oh, jeez.
Because of that whole thing, these emails are being put out there where I think it was a producer at Sony was basically calling Angelina Jolie a spoiled little brat and saying she was a terrible actress and her new movie Cleopatra was just horrible. And I think he was even saying did you read it? It's terrible. Because she wanted this one director to do that movie, and Sony wouldn't sign off on it. And yeah, just that's a fun little bit of reading to do if you can jump on the interwebs.
Okay, what's the percentage chance that it's actually North Korea? Because North Korea, let's be frank, okay? North Korea has I doubt even the people in power have no bearing on who the fuck Angelina Jolie is or why she matters.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is to expose Sony to get them to stop doing it.
Right, but why pick that email?
Oh, they didn't pick. They just literally dumped a ton of emails.
Oh, okay.
They're just like, these are your emails? Cool. Now the whole world can see them. And because that one's salacious, it gets picked out and talked about. But all kinds of emails. Their emails about that Marvel sent them, where they had communication with the people from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney about, getting Spider-Man to be in Civil War 3. Just let us borrow Spider-Man for a movie,
Right.
Or maybe let us make a Spider-Man trilogy. You guys can be the distributors and, collect most of the money for it. But we just want to, make a good Spider movie because you guys suck balls at it.
Right. Well, side note from that, I guess the bigwigs at Sony are going to be meeting up after the first of the year to kind of really decide what to do with Spider-Man, because the new relaunch really hasn't pulled in the numbers that they were hoping it would. And I mean, the second one was terrible, so I can't really blame them on that. But
well, here's the other thing, though, Roby. Hacking Sony and sending their emails out, I understand that we're picking out the salacious ones, but if you're in North Korea, Sony is a major entertainment outlet in America and, well, across the world, except for North Korea.
Right.
To understand what kind of damage, you would have to understand what Sony, do they have a concept of that? Maybe somebody does, I guess, but
yeah, I don't think Kim Jong-un lives in a hut and doesn't understand English, you know what I mean, or whatever. they understand what they're doing, I think, at the highest levels. They want to keep all the people below them in that live in a hut, they don't read books level because they're easy to control that way.
Mm.
But the people at the highest levels, they're role players like everyone else.
Maybe I don't know about that, man. I really.
Well, wasn't the whole reason they hacked Sony in the first place is because Sony's the producer for The Interview, the movie with.
See, now this is true, but I still, and this makes sense to me. Like that within that scope of thinking, that makes sense. But I still wonder if it's actually North Korea, if it's just somebody saying they're North Korea.
It's possible. It's the internet,
It is the internet. It is the internet, and it's not going to make Sony. I don't think it's going to make Sony stop. They're not going to not release that movie.
Well, it's not like, and with the hacking thing too, it's not like we don't know that Sony's security's crap anyway. I mean, how many times have they been hacked before? This
Right.
isn't really big. This isn't a big deal.
PSN got unrelatedly hacked over the weekend and shut down for a while.
Yeah.
Just because Sony's security is shit and they
Right.
don't care. But because they give away enough free stuff, the people who have PSNs or in PlayStation 4s or whatever don't care.
Yeah, like
I get
the 4 people that have PS.
I don't have to
PlayStation.
pay. I don't have to pay for my PS. No, there's a whole bunch of people who have PlayStations.
I know. I was just
None of
trying.
them give a
I was
shit.
just. I was just trying to be derivative. That's all.
Right. Goddamn console plebes.
Anyway, but
Yeah, next week though, I'd like to touch a little bit more on the expansion for Destiny. I mean, it's nothing special. I just want to kind of show what PlayStation got versus what Xbox got, and yeah, 10-minute talking mode. So,
spoiler.
yeah,
We think it's pretty much shit.
yeah,
Yes. It just continues the trend of overhyped and underdelivered.
yeah, it really.
Even if it was even overhyped. Because I think most people who I talked to about it were sort of like, well, I suppose I'm going to buy it because I'm already invested at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, when they first
Yeah.
were talking about an expansion, people were getting a little bit hyped, and then they kind of released what was all going to be involved. People were like, "That's it."
yeah.
So,
And then they didn't even deliver on that,
no.
which is the best part. The thing I like about Destiny isn't the game itself, but it's what I'm seeing a lot of these, Call of Duty guys going through. Is
Console
that
plebes. Yeah.
console plebes? They're like, oh, they're going through their MMO growth, and it's
Right.
funny to watch.
In my group of friends, I'm seeing it. Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're going through this MMO growth, and it's funny to watch, and it's funny. I hope though that Destiny sets a precedent of being like the console's version of EQ or Ultima Online.
Awesome.
It becomes the first in its line of long games where hopefully the ones that come before it or after it are better. That's my hope for it, but I think it's going to be difficult to I know console.
Nothing was better than EverQuest. Okay. just sit down.
EverQuest was
You
good
don't
in many
even
ways,
know.
but it was also ass in almost as many ways. All I'm saying is that what I hear you saying is, you know what I like? Nostalgia. That's what I like. That's what I hear.
Oh God, true enough. God knows I complained enough about it back in the day. Like this motherfucking game.
Wow. No, we were doing the raid the other day on hard mode, and it was funny to see, like, cause
The Destiny raid?
yeah,
Okay.
and we were doing all right with it, but then there's this one part where they just kept kicking us out, and since you only have 6 people in the raid, if you lose 2 people, you've got to start over. So 4.5 hours of wiping on the same bosses. These guys, they're not ready for it. I mean, they're getting ready and they're getting used to it, but it's just funny to see. Because I'm just like, oh, do it over next. I've done this before.
Right.
So,
Wipe it up. Let's move
Right.
on. Try again. This time, don't fuck up.
right. And you say that like 9 times, and each time you still die and everything else. But yeah, I'm with you, Connor. I hope this is kind of like, I don't know. It'd be nice to see this take off and be a thing.
Yeah, be growth for the console group, which I think is just slowly going to turn into like a PC group. Because that's basically. I mean, here, like, before too long, that's what consoles are going to be.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they can't keep limiting themselves hardware-wise and asking everyone to spend more money on the next hardware upgrade. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
I mean,
I
that's the one thing they
remember.
have in their favor right now, as far as like putting out games and stuff, which is why Call of Duty is able to, is that everyone has the same hardware.
Right.
You know, they don't have to worry about like I have a 1985 graphics card in my computer or whatever.
Right.
How come I can't run World of Warcraft? You know, everyone they're dealing with has the same hardware, so they don't have to deal with any of those hardware-related issues that PC programmers have to deal with.
Yep. Yeah, makes a pretty big difference, really. I think that's the reason why the console market still exists. It kind of surprised me way back when, many years ago, when I heard that Xbox was getting into the game, or Microsoft specifically with the Xbox was getting into the game, and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of surprised they're doing that. And then the more I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is just, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a successful business, and they can make money doing it, but I didn't realize how easy money it was for them, because they're like, wait a minute, we can just produce a bunch of games, and we don't have to worry about, you know, different graphics cards and people having a bunch of different systems and making it run on this version of Windows and this version of Windows and this version of, like, oh, it's so simple now. Yeah, it's much easier to see why they got into it in the first place, because it's just much easier to develop for. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my take on it. All right,
I agree.
I'm pretty well done. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys had anything else to talk about.
No, it's
Nope.
good. I mean, I got
I'm
into
pretty good.
Dragon Age. We might get a little bit more Dragon Age later on. Maybe we can get Trish on after you play a little bit more to yourself and kind of see how you guys are enjoying the storyline.
Yeah.
So we could probably even do a separate podcast just on spoilers with the storyline.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, quick preview. Later on this month, we will have a best movies and worst movies of 2014. So please join us for that, because it's going to be a long list of awesomeness and also equally long list of absolute shit. Yeah.
oh, yeah. All right. Well,
I'm pretty sure that the list of shit this year is a little bit longer.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
I mean, there's been some good stuff, but also not as well. Also, I'm throwing up on the Facebook a link to the old Star Wars stuff.
Oh
They
yeah.
released the like the names of all the characters, but on like vintage trading cards. It looked pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I have to check
Throwing it
that.
up on the Facebooks here.
Cool. All right, you want to take us out, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll take us out. Thanks for coming out. Episode 13 in the books. Join us next week for episode 14. And yeah, have a good night.